Hi there, and welcome to the Daily Gardener, an almanac of garden history, literature, and small botanical joys. I'm Jennifer Ebling, and today is July 21st. Happy birthday, Dad. I've never learned how to see my garden as just one garden. I walk out in the morning, and I'm looking at 4 of them, all at the same time. There's the one from last July, taller in some places, emptier in others. The bed by the fence still a mess, and more of a sore spot after Philip's aunt said she thought it was mostly weeds. Then there's the one from a month ago. It has the same bed, newly replanted, no more weeds or weedy flowers. And I have to say that last month, the rhubarb was more glorious than I have ever seen it. Then, of course, there's the garden that's actually here right now. This morning, the cooled air made me think about fall, which how is that even possible after the heat and smoke of the past few weeks? The trees and all the foliage look so sad still after all they've endured. What a month. And then there's the last garden. The garden I'm always just a season or 2 away from. The one I have a vision for. The one I see in my mind's eye. That garden is not a work in progress. It's just done. Finally. And there's so much more architecture to enjoy. Heavier arbors, bigger outdoor tables, always set for company. Lattice dividers around the shed with clever storage. Cleverly designed. That garden is beautiful, uncomplicated, and has tons more shade in all the right places. I spend a lot of time thinking about that garden. Here's today's garden history. It's the anniversary of the death of the Belgian landscape architect who said, "A garden that is not beautiful in winter is not a beautiful garden." Jacques Wirtz, who died at his home in Belgium in 2018 at the age of 93. Born on New Year's Eve, he was teased mercilessly at his school for his red hair. So his parents sent him to horticultural school instead. As a teenager during World War II, he was forced to work at a nursery in Germany, where he nearly starved. After the war, he came home and opened his own nursery. He grew it for decades. Then in 1969, he moved to a gardener's cottage on an old 18th century estate. It had a 4-acre walled garden that had been abandoned for 3 decades. Along one path stood a row of neglected boxwoods. Most gardeners would have dug them out. Jacques didn't. Instead, he followed the shape the shrubs already had. They became soft, billowing forms, and people began calling it cloud pruning. Then, in 1990, Jacques won a competition that became the honor of his life. The mission was to create the Jardin du Carrousel between the Louvre and the Tuileries in Paris. Jacques and his son Peter came up with the idea for a sunburst of yew hedges that radiated out from the Louvre's great arch. The fanned-out hedges created green rooms that held 18 bronze statues sculpted by French sculptor Aristide Maillol. Today, most people walking between the Louvre and the Tuileries never realize they're walking across a rooftop garden, or that the billowing hedges beside them began with a single row of neglected boxwoods in Belgium. And it's the anniversary of the death of the Czech naturalist Josephine Kablick, who died on this day in 1863 in Hohenelbe, a little town at the foot of the giant mountains, where she was born 76 years before. Josephine went to school at a monastery in Prague. She married a local boy and was a bit of a late bloomer. She didn't get interested in botany until she was 35. Her husband, Adalbert, a science guy himself, never once tried to talk her out of whatever she wanted to pursue. They had 57 years together. Josephine had remarkable stamina. She thought nothing of heading off into the mountains, through forests, down steep ravines, eventually into the Alps, looking for plants and fossils to send to schools, museums, and scientific societies all over Europe. At the time, there were plenty of people who couldn't stomach the idea of a woman botanist. Even the former president of the Botanical Society. But Josephine was admitted to their ranks anyway. By then, her collections had become impossible to ignore. By the last year of her life, she'd been a widow for a full decade. She'd never had any children, and somehow those last 10 years turned out to be her most productive. She threw herself into plant collecting, gathering more than 25,000 specimens, and most of them were found not all that far from her home. And in the months before she died, at 75 years old, she ventured into yet one more place she had never been before, the mountains near Salzburg. After her death, her bound volumes of Giant Mountains flora went to the Botanical Society at Regensburg. In today's Unearthed Words, we hear from the American poet and writer Tess Gallagher, born on this day, July 21st, in 1943. Tess grew up in Port Angeles, Washington, the daughter of a logger and a woman from the Ozarks. She spent her childhood ranging over her grandfather's 1,000 acres, walking the fields, helping with the crops, and the sheep shearing. She said, "I don't know how many children really get to explore vast amounts of territory like that. It builds something in you." She gardened by her mother's side for years, and when her mom got sick, Tess bought the land. She loved the apples best. She said, "I'm in love with the orchard. I prune it every February with a young man named Josh Glore. We have 3 glorious days where we're pruning those apple trees and chatting. I love that time." Tess felt that gardening cleared her mind and made her feel better about herself. She said, "Gardening integrates my intelligence without my having to think about it. I like to worry about something that's not making it and to think what I could do to help. I like lifting 50-pound sacks of mulch and slamming them down. I like digging weeds." When her mother died, Tess simply said, "She was my garden." It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, To Everything There Is a Season by Thalassa Crusoe. Old Books and Classics Week continues here on The Daily Gardener, and today's book comes from one of the best garden voices you will ever hear, Thalassa Crusoe, an archaeologist, a writer, a grandmother, and for 20 years, a gardening columnist for the Boston Sunday Globe. She also hosted a television program called Making Things Grow on WGBH in Boston. And she was a guest on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, patiently teaching him how to make compost from eggshells in a cupboard. To Everything There Is a Season came out in 1973, a month-by-month account of Thalassa's gardening year. Pleasures and problems, indoors and out, with her knack for making you feel like you're sitting right beside her in the garden. Thalassa Crusoe, who said, "Do start a garden notebook in the spring. This need not be in the least fancy, and your entries can be as brief as you like. But I wager you will be astonished at how fast those notebooks fill up, and at the pleasure they will give you browsing through them later on. Thalassa had no formal horticultural training. She said so herself. And yet, people stopped her on the street to ask about their African violets. To Everything There Is a Season by Thalassa Crusoe. Wise, witty, warm, and overflowing with the gardening year. And finally, here's something sweet to ignite the little botanic spark in your heart. It's the birthday of the American landscape architect who said that despite laying claims to the earth, landscape architects impact only a tiny percentage of its surface. Peter Walker, born on this day in 1932 in Pasadena, California. His father died when he was young, and he spent lots of time with his grandparents riding California trains up and down the state. From the window seat, he saw the citrus groves, vineyards, and orange orchards pass by in rows and grids, in order. The symmetry never left him. He went off to study landscape architecture, started his own firm, and spent the next 50 years planting trees in rows on plazas, campuses, science parks, and gardens. In 2003, the designer Michael Arad asked him to help with the September 11th memorial at Ground Zero. Peter imagined trees that mimicked Gothic colonnades and planned for a grove of 400 swamp white oak, Quercus bicolor, trees that would stand guard in their rows around 2 square voids, forever filling with cascades of water where the towers once stood. It took 10 years to build. Peter was 79 when the memorial opened. Today, he turns 94. And a swamp white oak can live 300 years. As we close the show today, remember, you're never really tending just one garden. There's the one you remember, the one from the start of summer, the one in front of you now, and the one you're always dreaming about. Maybe living with all 4 of them is just part of gardening. And maybe the secret to reconciling all of it is a little more grace and a little more hopefulness. Luck and the Lord will take care of the rest. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener. And remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.